terms of, for you or the Roots, return on the investment from a fan? Like, can you quantify that?
See, I think because I joined from such a pure standpoint, I didn't see it as a business move. Side note, so Wyatt Cenac, aka the black guy of Jon Stewart, who's world famous for his hating social network life and his comedy routine. For his birthday, I had my people at OK Player get him a verified account. And, you know, at first it was like to be silly, like, oh man, you have a verified account now, you have no excuse. And he kept rejecting it. And then I just got mad. I'm like, yo, dude, like, one, you just left The Daily Show. Two, you know, you're going full-fledged with your comedy career. Like, you need a platform. Your version of Noah's Ark. You got to gather two of every animal. Like, this is more of a business thing than for you to just spew out 140 characters for a punchline. Like, I borderline said, like, you owe it to me to be responsible for your career. And I guess that was sort of the proverbial slap in the face that I finally got him to be active on his account. But yeah, now I think it behooves any artist to use this platform to promote themselves. It could be, you know, it's like there's no stopping or denying the fact that we are now in the cult of personality. You know, so you might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Before, you know.
I think you know the cult of personality though. I mean, you know, I hear you around how Twitter can help promote a band and engage with fans, but on the other hand, you know, I don't think Twitter should only all be about come see my show. I think it should be about real engagement and conversation.
Oh,
which
yeah.
To your Twitter account, I think, you know, you're conversational.
I think, yeah, I use Twitter as a means to nuance who I am. Because for the longest, people thought, like, well, the Roots are just way too serious about, you know, they're too thoughtful, too serious, or too calculating in their moves. And I'm like, no, quite the opposite. Like, I'm the guy that still does, like, you know, Doggy Diamonds, like the cereal, the breakfast cereals, like, okay.
Right.
Like, I do silly, stupid stuff.
Yeah. And
so, I think that, if anything, Twitter helped the notion or the perception that I'm a three-dimensional person, which is probably one of the hardest things that anyone in hip-hop, which is really a genre that's built a bunch of caricatures as opposed to flesh and blood human beings as far as the perception of the public looking at it. That's one of the hardest things to achieve, the idea of being three-dimensional, normal. So yeah, I'll say for the first 2 years it was all about, hey, wait, what do you mean you're at Pathmark at 2 in the morning? You do your shopping? And why do you're driving this car? And, you know, like, yeah, it helped. It helped me just show sort of a normal side of life that people somehow thought that I wasn't a part of.
yeah.
And, you know, and it helps to promote stuff as well.
Yeah, I think you need balance. You know, I think
Absolutely.
you know you need the balance, and you know, so with all this new technology, you know, do you think there's over reliance on technology in the music space these days? Do you think there's enough balance of like the pulling behind the curtain and creativity and innovation versus it's just another platform to meet people?
At the end of the day, you still have to deliver the goods.
Yeah.
And even with success stories, Rebecca Black's Friday, Gangnam Style, even with short-term success, I mean, those really in it for the long haul, like at the end of the day, you know, the cream will rise to the top. So, I mean, for those that live for the moment and kind of treat their career in this sort of reckless fashion that, oh, it's always going to be here, you know, that's one thing, but will you still be around, like, where's your life going to be when you turn 40? You know, that's, I don't think people think in chess terms of that way, like, what's my move going to be when I'm 40? I know that when we started, like in 92, I couldn't imagine what 1999 was going to be like. Like, we were signing our contract, and I was like, whoa, like, this is for all recorded material. It's in 1999, and I started, like, having a dream sequence thing, like, spaceships, and, like, it's going to be like, man, when our fourth album comes out, it's going to be like spaceships. Like, when Things Fall Apart came out, we had a flat tire, so it was like, life was still the same. It was ancient. So, you know, I just think that at the end of the day, all those things are good, but you still have to have the goods to maintain and deliver. Like, short success is good, but can you do this consistently for 20 years?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah, and I think you know, the challenge of the internet is that, you know, there are sometimes people are, I think some musicians are getting so caught up in the tech that they don't think about the sustainability piece of the career and in terms of the musicality piece. I mean, I think ultimately what you're saying is it's about the music. You know, it starts with the music, and then you have all these ways to kind of get it out.
I mean, idealistically, I would like to think that.
Sure.
I'm also not a fool to know that music is probably the least important element in music business, which, you know, is a sad commentary on its own. You know, I'm not naive to think that that's even a factor. Last night at we did the correspondent dinner after party, and you know, it was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought that we were one of the best live performers of, you know, in the hip hop genre or of the last 20 years or whatever that list that Rolling Stone made. Like, you know, I mean, granted, it was a corporate political party, so it's like, you know, how much engagement can you make with all these news pundits, like, you know, getting drunk at their tables or whatever. But I mean, we could have done the equivalent of Hendrix setting his guitar on fire, and the room still would have been indifferent. Like, nowadays, people just don't necessarily care about musicianship and music. So, I mean, I think that's one bit of advice that it's kind of a heartbreaker when I'm talking to someone new. Give me advice about the music business. And I'm like, well, you got to emotionally detach yourself away from music, because a lot of people have. And they don't want to hear that. They want to hear the fantasy of, you know, music is pure. And, you know, music is my sanctuary still, but, you know, I'm also a person that's inside the business, and I've seen that, you know, some people just don't care about a string coda at the end of a Prince song, or don't care if, you know, the fact that we use this particular analog tape on D'Angelo's record, or things that I care about. They really don't care. So it's going to be an eye opener for people.
Yeah. So okay, so you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter. You exploring any other? You on Vine yet? Doing the Vine thing?
I did my second Vine last night.
Okay. How'd that work out for you?
again, started off silly, and then I'm certain that a year from now I'm gonna have to be more responsible with my vine. But
So I'm sure
Rachel Maddow made me a drink last night because she was guest bartender at the